Welcome to the Awakened Impact podcast, where the new paradigm starts here. I'm your host, Kimberly Lebbing, master coach, trainer, and creator of the Paradigm Shift Method. In each episode, you'll hear real, unfiltered conversations with soul-led entrepreneurs, coaches, and healers here to create lasting change. If you're here to lead with purpose, embody your gifts, and create an impact from the inside out, you're in the right place. Welcome back to the Awakened Impact podcast. I am your host, Kimberly Lebbing, and today's guest is on a mission to make rest not just a luxury, but a revolutionary act of healing. Keri Lemmons is a rest specialist, a paradigm shift practitioner, and a recovering overachiever who intimately understands what it means to live in stress-fueled survival mode. After years of chronic fatigue and burnout, she chose a different path, one rooted in neuroscience, nervous system healing, and the deep intelligence of the body. And now Keri guides others to unlearn toxic hustle culture and rebuild lives that feel truly good without the cortisol crash. She's here to challenge the myth that success requires sacrifice and to show us that rest isn't a pause from life. It's how we come back to it fully alive. And I'm super excited to have Keri on because she is also a dear friend, and I'm excited for this conversation. So welcome, Keri.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here too.
Yes. So let's just dive in. I know we always have great conversations. I'd love for you to tell a little backstory of what led you to becoming a rest specialist.
Sure. So my background as far as my career is I have a science degree, and then I ended up becoming a massage therapist and working with people in pain for years. But what brought me into working with people with pain was because of my own health struggles and my own journey that I had from my early 20s. I was having some struggles. I had been a very type A person, had all these goals and dreams, and my body just kind of stopped me in my mid 20s. I realized I was a very tired person, like needed to sleep a lot. And I also was having a lot of pain. I was passing out. And so I had a lot of things that were causing me to not be able to function fully every day like I wanted. And at that point in time, it was really getting me down because I was graduating college and I had all these things I wanted to do. And I had to shift things. I had to learn how to handle life differently. And in my doing that, I felt judged by a lot of people, for one thing, because I was just doing things differently, but I was still doing, right? And it took me years to look back and realize that I was just as successful as I would have been hustling and working just the same as everybody else by slowing down and doing things. I had a realization. And so that's when I decided, you know what, there's really something to prioritizing rest in our lives and being happier and still getting as much done, still being as successful in our careers, and actually probably feeling better in our bodies with it. And so I shifted my work into helping people with that because that's where I felt like I was already really doing it, but I started calling it what it was, right?
I feel like this is so relevant for so many people. I mean, I know I did that, like just the hustle. And I just want to applaud you for figuring it out so early. I was well into I would say I was well over 40, for maybe even into my 50s before I finally out. So
I feel like that's typical. I feel like that's when people do typically figure it out. And it probably would have been the same for me had I not really had those struggles. And I had a lot of things. I had a lot of trauma and stressful things in my life that made me completely break away and make some choices that were different. And if I hadn't done that, I probably wouldn't have looked back and been like, wait a second, it's actually been okay. It's been okay to do this. It hasn't been a bad thing like some people had told me, right? It had been okay and I had done what I needed to do. And if I hadn't had the negative situations happening, I may not have looked back at it in the same way at a younger age. I do think most people are older and they finally realize, like, I can do what I want.
That's so true. And I love just the realization of it earlier. That's profound to me because I had the health issues, but I ignored it and just kept on rolling through. Yeah. So I just want to applaud you on that. And I
Thank you.
love this movement that you have created and how rest is foundational for you. What do you mean by radical rest? Like, what does that mean to you?
I think the radical part just comes in mostly because it's so against how society works, right? Society that we're in typically works in you just got to work, work, work and do the best you can to show some sort of big thing to people that makes you successful, right? And so many people are just in the everyday grind of just being able to make money to pay for living. But there's another side to that, right? There's another side to it where some of it is in our mindset and how we approach it, and some of it is in actually changing what we're doing. But that's the radical part is just going against what the bulk of people are doing around us. And that makes it radical because it's just not how everybody lives. It's really
Yes.
simple and it could be, but for some reason, that's just not how it is. So
Right.
that to me is the radical part is just being and it being so simple. And when you hear it and you think about it and you're like, oh my gosh, like, why are we not resting a little bit more? That's the radical part too, right? It's like this realization that we can actually do that.
We absolutely can. And I feel like, especially in the US, this is a bigger problem here in the US, probably more than other countries, because I feel they have longer vacations, they have shorter working hours, they take in the middle of the day, and we don't have any of that here. It's all
Right.
grind, grind, push, push until you drop.
And it's all for somebody else. Our society makes us feel very selfish for focusing on ourselves in any way, putting ourselves before work, which why would we put work before ourselves? If we don't have good health or good mental health or capacity to be around people and take things in, how can we work for somebody else? It's so backwards to me that that is seen as such a selfish thing when it's a basic necessity to prioritize
Mm,
ourselves. It's not selfish at all. It's how we show up for other people. I like the visual of the filling of the cup. You hear those sayings, but I take it a step further in our cup should never be empty. Our cup being full is our basic needs, and people should get the overflow. So we should do things to
yes.
keep our cup overflowing instead of emptying our cup.
Mm.
And that to me is an easy way to put it. I guess it's a good way to visualize it.
It is. And just like briefly, I want to go back to what we were talking about when people realize this is usually later life. And I'm just reflecting about some of the clients that I've worked with that have been retired CEOs and they're just figuring this out. And you're spot on with all of this because it's not what society does. It's not what society says. And we need the cup filled. We need our cups filled first.
Absolutely, we do.
So, how does chronic stress actually manifest in the body and the nervous system? I know with the work you've done as a massage therapist and your other modalities that you use, you've got a lot of insight and a lot of things to say about that.
So pain is a way that it manifests in our body. Chronic stress definitely manifests in pain. And that was one of the first things I saw working years doing pain relief therapy. People would have the same patterns and I could work through things and get good results, but it always came back. And there's an underlying emotional issue that holds those patterns in the body. And that comes from chronic stress. If you don't change those things, then that pain pattern is going to come back in the body over and over again. So that's the first way that I saw it showing up. And then I started realizing, gosh, there's a lot to this, right? Our body holds a lot and it protects us. I mean, our brain's purpose is to protect us and keep us alive. And that reflects in how it communicates with the body and how our body functions. So that can come out in a lot of different physical symptoms. It can also come out in, being a little bit antisocial. Even when you want to be social, having social anxiety is another way that it can show up. Overreactions, being snippy with your family members, having a bigger reaction to a situation than you normally would, typically happen in times of chronic stress, right? If we are not able to handle stress, if we don't have a good way to react, or our body is set up in these patterns of reacting badly in stress, then you're going to have moments of coming apart. And it's usually at people that you care about very much, unfortunately.
Yeah,
Um,
totally.
and then sleep. Sleep is another one. Sleep is so important for how we
Mm.
function in our day-to-day life. And when our sleep gets disrupted, it's a compounding, like a snowball effect. So having chronic stress can make us not sleep well. And then when we don't sleep well, we get more stressed, which then makes us not sleep well. And it just keeps going, right? And so at some point you have to break that pattern and you have to recognize it, just, noticing it first, and then start changing some things to make sleep better and working with the body to change the pattern.
So good. I know you talk about your own journey a lot in this, and you're a recovering overachiever. What helped you shift? I mean, was it just? I mean, I know you talked about the challenges you had, but was there something else that helped you with the shift?
Yes, there was probably more than one thing. I think I was already a little bit alternative medicine minded because my body doesn't like a lot of Western meds. And so I had to find alternatives for myself. And so as I was going through these health struggles, I was also navigating, figuring out what worked for me because my body didn't like a lot of the things that were being given to me. And so I started looking for alternatives, right? I started doing my own research and having that mindset led me in a lot of different directions to try different things. And a lot of people don't have that mindset. So having somebody to support that is important, right? Going to somebody who can help you with that. But I would say just naturally being one who investigates things and doesn't take no for an answer helped me because when my body did hit that wall, that was what stopped me. And my brain didn't shift immediately. I still had all the ideas and all the things I wanted to do, and my body just kept saying no, very forcibly
Mhm.
for a while. And I was young, and so I always said I felt like I was an 80-year-old woman in a 24-year-old body. And so it was really difficult for a bit. And
Mhm.
it took finding some holistic things to help me slow down. Massage therapy was the first thing I found for myself that helped, and that was the first thing I started doing and offering to other people. So I kind of have went through a pattern of picking up the things that help me and offering them to other people.
I love it, and that was honestly that was my next question: is what other tools do you use? What other powerful practices that you could share, maybe with our listeners, that they could even try, maybe even
Absolutely.
to reconnect with their bodies and invite more rest.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that you can go to a practitioner and have and do or learn for yourself. Reiki is very, very powerful. And that's wonderful to go to somebody and, have some sort of guided meditation is great too. But things you can do for yourself, and it might take a little search, Pinterest, Google, whatever, but tapping. So the EFT tapping is really powerful for that brain body connection because as you tap on your body, you bring yourself back into your body. We spend a lot of time with our thoughts and our worries up here, and we can come back into our body and feel what we actually feel and listen to our body tell us something. That's important. And tapping is incredible for that. I do think meditation is really, really important, but people hear meditation and I think, oh, I don't have time to be still. I don't want to be still. I'm not trying to reach Zen. And so I educate people that meditation looks like a lot of different things and it does not have to be that. Well, I'm not a monk. I'm not trying to necessarily achieve enlightenment. I'm just trying to get through my day, right? There's a difference. And there are ways for meditation to help us just get through our day as well. And it can be done with activity. So we don't have to be still. Our brains aren't set up the same way anymore. It is nice to work towards that. But to start, that is not what you need to do. And it can be very powerful to slow yourself down and to honor your body with a guided meditation. You can listen to them, you can find them all over the place. Just walking and being in nature, that's huge. And that's a meditative thing. But just taking time to get outside is incredible. And it does a lot for us. Like it actually chemically changes our body when we're out in nature. So that's really important. And it's so simple. Play, laughter, doing something fun and creative is actually a very restful activity to overflow that cup of yours to make you pay attention to your body. You feel good in your body, you pay attention to it, right? you're connected with it. And so anything that makes you happy like that is a really easy way to do that too. So those are just the quick things that I would recommend.
I love them. I'm like checking the boxes as you're talking. I'm like, okay, tapping, I do that. Meditation, I do more breathing for me.
Breath work was one thing I was going to
Yeah.
mention too, but yes, it's so important. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I always feel like with meditation, like that can sound so overwhelming to people who aren't
Yes,
doing
it
it.
does.
And I'm like you. Yeah, not looking for enlightenment. Maybe sometimes,
Right.
but for
Right.
the
I'm not
most
going to
part, I
connect.
just want to just calm my nervous system down so I can like sleep and get through the day. So I love that. Which that brings me into my next question. I'd love to hear, like, what does sustainable success look like to you?
Well, that's a great question. Oh, let me think. Sustainable success looks like something where you are enjoying what you're doing, right? To some degree. And not everybody can just do the job that they want to do, first of all, right? So success can be working and being able to bring home what you need, but success can be completely separate from your work. And to make it sustainable just means you are doing things in your life that do actually make you happy. And your focus is not solely on the hard part, right? And keeping it sustainable is bringing in things that are allowing you to fill that cup to overflowing. Sometimes that is sleep and napping. Sometimes that is getting out in nature. Sometimes that is going and getting a massage or floating in a float tank or meditating and using a practitioner for energy work. Sometimes it's all of those things, depending on the person. But making it sustainable is where you're not having this roller coaster of emotions constantly in life. You know what you have to do for work. You know what your body needs to keep you going and at a level that you actually enjoy who you are, right? And that to me is sustainable. It's when we are staying in a place where we're working for somebody else and we're not giving ourselves any other priority. We're coming from an energetic deficit. We're behind the ball with that. So we're always going to be trying to catch up, to have more energy, to have more fulfillment, right? We're looking for that fulfillment in some way or another, when really we can just shift it and give ourselves a little bit of fulfillment in some way, something that feels good to us, and take the pressure and focus off of having to do for somebody else. It's still there. You still have to do it, but that's not the sole focus of your life. That to me is sustainable, is when we don't live that way.
So good. And you mentioned being behind the ball, which reminded me of dropping the ball.
Yes.
So like
Yes.
talk about this movement and this thing that you're creating, if you don't mind.
Oh, I would love to talk about that. So I just found it officially Drop the Ball STL, which it's a movement for not just St. Louis, but for everywhere, but it's located, centrally here, where I give you permission to drop the ball on things that don't serve you. I know a lot of us go through our life and we just need somebody to just give us permission to do something a little differently sometimes. So I'm showing up to do that for people. I'm teaching you to do that for other people too, right? And for yourself over and over again. And helping just regulate our nervous systems and prioritize ourselves so that we can be more sustainable in our energy levels as we go through the world, right? And we're not giving it away to everybody else and not giving it to ourselves at all. And I'm creating a space locally where I'm going to continue my work that I already do. And I'm adding in like a quiet room space where people can drop in. And it's called the Drop Collective. People can drop in and they can have quiet time with noise canceling headphones and a nap if they need to. They can have a guided meditation that they listen to, like sound frequencies, whatever we choose to put in there. But it's going to be like a 30 or 60-minute little break. So if you need to reset before you go home from work, or if you know you're going to have an overwhelming evening with the kids and you want to be in a better place for that, those kinds of things, you can come in, you can have your moment, make it quick, make it simple for you, and then you're reset to face the things sustainably that you need to do. And you're not going to be coming undone to the people that you care about the most too.
Yes. Gosh, this sounds so dreamy. I'm thinking about all the people that have busy going this to this thing and this meeting and that meeting and busy moms and all of that. And I'm just like, it just sounds absolutely dreamy to me. for especially for people that are wrapped up in the hustle.
And I mean, that does help with the sustainability of life because, at certain seasons of our lives, if you have multiple children, that's life right now, right? You've got to get them here and there and do the things, and that's just that season. But doing something for you that helps you shift from one thing to another with better capacity makes that season more enjoyable, right? It's okay to do that. It's okay to take 30 minutes and shift from work to home with a little bit of rest in between and
Yeah.
make everything a little bit easier. So that's my goal for people.
Yeah, I love it. I'm even thinking like the busy entrepreneur that wants to like eat your lunch, but then go take a nap for the other 30 minutes. You have to just like take a lunch break with Keri. I love it.
Yes, that's awesome. It's funny because I used to sleep on my lunch hours in my 20s when I was working and I was so exhausted. I would go to my car and sleep. So this would be a way better option.
It definitely would. Oh my gosh. Oh, that's hilarious. I would love for you to also, I know you do some deeper work. Yeah, I mean, I know you're certified in paradigm shift method and you have other modalities that you bring in. Tell us, just walk us through, what it is and how you help people really shift and support that deep transformation.
So I took what I learned with the paradigm shift method and kind of brought it into my specialty, right? I really help people with how they handle and react to stress. We have patterns in how we react to stress, and sometimes we're very stuck in those. And we don't typically want to be that way. And I mean, how many times have you said it to yourself or you've heard people say it that, oh, I don't know why I am that way. I don't know why I keep doing that. Our reactions to stress and how we handle things with the people that we care about can be really tough and really difficult to change. And it's not just always a quick, well, I'm just going to figure out how I think differently. Sometimes it's not that easy because we learn these patterns when we're young or they're ingrained in us through our families or whatever the situation is. So I take that and I help people transform their reactions to stress and how they handle stress on a regular basis then. Because if people are in a stressful life and they can't change that, maybe they're a caregiver for somebody that needs them. Maybe their work is just, it is what it is and it's stressful, but they don't like how it makes them feel. They don't like how they react to it. They just want to go with the flow a little bit more because that is their life. That's another way that I can help with that paradigm shift is just getting a deeper transformation in our core beliefs and values and how we react to things. And then once we have that shift, we really ground it in with some energy work and patterns in our lives, some tapping and meditation, and trying to integrate that into a daily life pattern that you like. Whatever works for the individual. Maybe it's a 5-minute meditation, walking. I like to walk my dog in the mornings and I use that as meditation. These are things I have to do anyway, right? So I help people figure out those very practical rituals to make it easy to have some sort of rest in their life and keep that transformation that they've made.
Beautiful. So I'd love to also hear, I have so many questions, right? What's your bigger vision with this work? So if people actually made rest foundational and a priority, what would shift globally?
I think we'd have a lot more peace, right? I feel like the unrest that we feel a lot would settle in huge ways. I feel like trying to control other people is a problem in our world. And
Yeah.
if we focus on taking care of ourselves, maybe we stop trying to control other people so much. We just take care of us and what we can control. And that would have such a huge ripple effect in every part of our lives, right? And I think that would be beautiful. I just think it would be beautiful.
I agree. And I'm just like what you said about the controlling other people and like, that's projection. They're just projecting out. So
Right.
it's yeah. And I know you agree with me on this. I know that when we shift, it shifts other people and it ripples out. So I love that
Absolutely.
you've connected with this globally and see the impact that it could. I totally see.
There's no way for us to make these changes in our own lives and not have it affect the people around us, usually in a very positive way.
Yeah. And I know in my work, I mean, usually it is in a positive way. Sometimes people resist because they're also used to the loop or the pattern that you've been in. And
Absolutely.
there's a little bit of pushback. Quickly, that shifts or they go away. One of the
Exactly. I
two.
mean, once you start the process of changing things in your life, it changes things in your life. And sometimes that is your environment as well for the better for you. And sometimes it needs to happen. And, again, it goes back to not controlling other people. You're working on you. You're fixing what you want to do for yourself. If somebody else doesn't sign up for that or doesn't want that, then that's their choice. You don't
Right.
have to worry about that anymore. And that can be painful. I mean, I'm not trying to make light of it. It can be painful. It does butt up against other people. But for the most part, sometimes when there's even a few moments of that, it can alleviate itself in some way or another.
And I would imagine, just because I know, specifically the type of work that you're doing, that anybody that's going into this and they haven't been doing it, they're probably up against a lot of guilt and resistance, but you've got tools in place to help them shift the guilt and the resistance that comes up.
Yes, guilt is the word for sure. I mean, guilt is what so many people that I work with, they do the work, they want the work, but what keeps them from, especially if we don't do like a paradigm shift, but they're just working with me, otherwise, what keeps them in patterns is typically guilt. It is absolutely, what's this loved one going to think about me? How is this going to affect them? Am I going to make life harder for somebody else if I prioritize myself a little bit more? Those types of things. Yeah.
Yeah.
I look lazy if I'm taking this time to rest. Well,
Mm.
typically we need that so badly. And then we function so much better when we do it that we're not lazy at all.
Yeah. Well, it's a complete restructuring and reprogramming of your nervous system, of your thoughts, your subconscious mind, like all those pieces. And I know, like, for me personally, I now, this is a statement I make, rest is a revenue generating activity for me.
Absolutely, and I actually thought about that when we were talking earlier about sometimes when you take that moment to pause and have quiet or have a meditation, like, I get wonderful ideas come to me during that time.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
wonderful. So that is definitely
Absolutely.
revenue generating.
It is. It is. Like, that's where I get my biggest ideas because you have to be able to slow down, be able to have the creativity and the things come in. It resets how you view life. I mean, it's just everything. It's so, so important.
Yes, it is. Yeah. I can't imagine not living my life the way I do now. I have slow mornings, like I like to call them my slow mornings. I don't get up and rush. Now, there are days, of course, there are times that are still stressful. I'm not living this stress free life, right? There are times that are stressful, and there are mornings that I have to get up and get out the door really early. But overall, I have kind of built my life to where I have slow mornings because mornings are difficult for me with my energy levels. And so I can take them a little slower. I can drink some tea. I can have some little rituals, and those times are so important to me. And I think what typically happens is once you start to make those shifts, you're going to find those things that are really important to you and whatever it is for you. And that's going to be, you're going to hold on to it pretty tight.
You definitely will. And, people make time for the things they value because I hear, and I'm just thinking about people that might be in resistance to this. Well, I don't have time because I have to get out at whatever, but you do. It's what you prioritize. And sometimes it doesn't take a lot of time. I mean, do you find that to be
Correct.
true? Like it could. Do slow mornings too, but I have been able to do all the things I feel get me grounded in the morning in a short pocket of time if I need to.
Absolutely. And I think when you first start making a change in your life and you want to have more rest, it might take a little bit longer because, first of all, you're thinking about it so much that you have to kind of keep bringing yourself back and actually letting yourself do the rest part without guilt. And that takes a little bit of practice. But and it doesn't take forever, once you get into a groove with it, it does become much quicker and easier to just give yourself that reset. And since you're doing it regularly and it's not brand new in your life anymore, the rest comes much quicker. You feel better quicker. And that does make it to where it's not taking hours of your day by any means.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would imagine anyone, because I used to do this myself, you can make the schedule work for you. So if it's not morning, do it in the evening, do it in the middle of the day, do what works best for you.
Yes. Yes.
So what's one truth you want every listener to walk away with today?
Ooh. I want every listener to find a little bit of rebellion in themselves against the way we live right now, right?
Mhm. Yes.
But I might have two truths.
That's it.
The other truth I want people to walk away with is that you're not less productive when you rest. You're not dropping actual productivity. You're not performing less at work or in life. It's actually the opposite. And that is actually proven and researched to be true.
Yes. Yeah, you're right. It is proven. People are more productive when they are allowed to rest more. So good.
Yes.
So how do we connect with you, Keri?
Well, I would love for you to check out my website and sign up for my newsletter that I send every week. I apologize. It's just fun weekly newsletter, very short tips for the week for rest, reminders of why it's important, call to action for the rebellion, right? On rebelling against hustling all the time, and information about what I'm up to and what we're doing with the business as well. And so, yeah, just droptheballstl.com. And right on that homepage is my newsletter sign up. I would love to see you guys go there and check that out.
Perfect. I will make sure that that is in the show notes and in the description. If you're watching this on YouTube or listening, either way, you will be able to find it. And thank you, Keri, so much. I love this conversation. It totally resonates with me, as you know.
And I thank you so much for inviting me to have the conversation with you. It has been wonderful. And I was really looking forward to it. It was very fun.
Absolutely. All right. Thanks for being on. Thanks for tuning in to the Awaken Impact podcast. If today's episode resonated, I'd love for you to subscribe, leave a review, or share it with someone who's ready to rise. You can learn more about the Paradigm Shift Method at KimberlyLebbing.com or connect with me on my YouTube channel at Kimberly Lebbing. Until next time, keep leading the way.